I was telling everybody as you were coming in that I really do feel like this is a civil rights prom that was organized by everybody else, and I get to arrive as the queen and just enjoy all the benefits. So thank you to everybody. Jamie, thank you for your very kind, gracious invitation, and thank you to Claudia and Neil for your tireless service and insuperable leadership of the Washington Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights and Urban Affairs. It is a joy to partner with you each and every day. So I'm in week 12 of the job, still in my newbie honeymoon phase. And I really mean this when I say I have the best job in the world. Every day, I get to partner with the nation's leading law firms in pursuit of racial justice and equity. Every day, I stride into the office, eager to greet the day and to work side by side with our immensely talented staff. Will the staff of the Washington Lawyers Committee please stand and be recognized? So as you look around the room, we are a small but mighty army of 30 staff, including attorneys, paralegals, advocates, fundraisers, and business operations specialists. Our staff have deep expertise and passion in the areas of fair housing, education equity, workers' rights, criminal legal system reform, and immigrant justice. Their dedication is unparalleled, and I have the privilege of learning from them each and every day. Still, we could not do what we do without the partnership of our board, pro bono attorneys, donors, and community partners. Together, we pool resources, expertise, and human power to pursue racial justice and equity here in the DMV and beyond. In Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, there are dozens of national public interest law organizations, and there are many local D.C. legal services providers. But the Washington Lawyers Committee is the blend of both worlds. We work alongside local communities of color on cutting-edge racial justice issues at an organization of national impact and import. Finally, a few thoughts on where we are today and what does it mean to strive for racial justice and equity in 2023. It's easy to forget that the killing of George Floyd took place 3 years ago. It's easy to forget that the national reckoning that gripped the country in 2020 has not resulted in any major reforms needed to address centuries of enslavement, Jim Crow, and systemic discrimination and violence that persists today. Just a few weeks ago, on June 15th, the D.C. City Council held a day-long hearing on a D.C. reparations bill. This hearing was historic. The first public hearing on reparations in the district. I was proud to join a chorus of community leaders calling on the D.C. Council to move forward swiftly with reparations as a legal, economic, and moral imperative. It's easy to forget that Washington, D.C. was built on lands annexed from Potomac slave plantations. It's easy to forget that right outside this hotel, the White House and U.S. Capitol were built by enslaved Africans whose owners were recompensed for slave labor. It's easy to forget that in addition to being the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. was a thoroughfare for the U.S. domestic slave trade, with traffickers selling enslaved persons throughout the South. Frederick Douglass called Washington, D.C. the very citadel of slavery. White supremacy was thus interwoven with the founding, construction, and development of the district, the nation's capital, and the United States of America. Here in the district, the through lines from enslavement to Jim Crow to racial inequities today are apparent. Since 1970, DC's Black population has dropped from 71% to 41% today. This steady decline in DC's Black population corresponds with a steady increase in DC's housing costs. Today, the average home value for Black households in the DC region is about 2/3 the home value for white households. For lower and middle income families, home ownership remains the single most important source of wealth accumulation and financial security. Therefore, DC's long-standing patterns of housing segregation and disparities have robbed and continue to actively rob Black families of the opportunity to build wealth. The racial gap in the DMV is colossal. White households own 81 times the wealth of Black households. We all know full well the pernicious racism in our criminal law system. DC Black men are more than 8 times as likely to be stopped by police as DC white men. In a city that is 46% Black, the prison population is 90% Black. For returning citizens seeking to rebuild their lives after prison, many find themselves shut out, excluded from housing and employment, thereby trapping families in generational cycles of poverty and incarceration. As lawyers, we're trained in the importance of precedent, honoring the constraints posed by precedent. Reparations has historical and legal precedent here in the district. In 1862, President Abraham Lincoln signed DC emancipation into law, leading to the emancipation of nearly 3,000 people. At the same time, he authorized reparations to those who owned and enslaved Africans. Therefore, DC has a long established history of reparations dating back 160 years ago. It was just reparations to the wrong people. Reparations to those who trafficked, beat, and killed Black people. DC is hardly the vanguard when it comes to modern-day reparations. In recent years, the cities of Evanston, Illinois, and San Francisco have developed and implemented reparations. The state of California has established a task force to study and make recommendations on reparations in California, the most populous state of the nation. Closer to home, Georgetown University has authorized reparations for the descendants of people once enslaved and trafficked by Georgetown. Finally, as lawyers, we understand how our civil legal system is grounded in the concept of providing remedies for wrongs committed. The practice of quantifying damage to calculate compensation is central to the operation of our torts, contracts, employment, environment, discrimination laws. Every day, juries across the country calculate sums to compensate for harm, whether that's for lost wages, property damaged, injury suffered, illness, even death. Every day, judges across the country issue injunctive orders, ordering actors to halt action or to take immediate action to avoid irreparable harm. There is nothing new or radical about reparations. The precedent of reparations is long established in the district and at the national level. The concept of payment for harm done and injury suffered is woven into the fabric of our laws and civil justice system. In 2023, as the DC Council takes up reparations, let us consider what we as citizens, as attorneys, as a bar, as a city, what we owe to those who built the district and the nation's capital. Let us consider what we must do to redress the long-lasting effects of enslavement, Jim Crow, and white supremacy. Thank you for being vital partners in this fight for racial justice and equity today, tomorrow, and beyond.